Fetty Wap just got released from the feds, but does he have any chance of making a comeback? 10 years ago, Fetty Wap was crowned as the rap game's biggest up-and-coming hitmaker. He didn't just make smash records, Fetty was a straight-up cultural phenomenon taking the world by storm. But after catching a high-profile drug trafficking case and a lengthy prison sentence, fans are still wondering how somebody as talented and successful as Fetty lost it all. Was he just a one-hit wonder, or did his day ones betray him? That's why we're doing a full breakdown on Fetty Wap's downfall. How did Fetty go from an unknown artist to a global superstar in a matter of months? How did his loyalty to the Remy Boyz destroy everything he ever had? And did showing up on stage with Taylor Swift really get him cursed? We've even gone through court records to give you a full picture on the insane federal charges against Fetty Wap. How did this guy go from trap queen to a full-fledged narcotics kingpin? Finally, we're gonna take a closer look at the latest phase of Fetty's career since he got released from prison. Now that he's back on the streets, is 50 Cent really about to come and resurrect his career? I don't think fans realize just how tough Fetty's come up was. Since the day he was born, Fetty, aka Willie Jr. Maxwell, was struggling to see. He was born with glaucoma, which affected his vision from day one. By the time he was 6 months old, young Fetty had to have reconstruction eye surgery. While the doctors were able to save his right eye, Fetty went completely blind in the other. At first, Fetty wore a prosthetic eye to hide the fact that he was partially blind, but when he was 12 years old, he decided to rid of the false eye completely and embrace who he really was.
I was born with glaucoma and I lost the eye at 6 months, and I got reconstructive surgery when I was 12. And I just stopped wearing the prosthesis because I didn't want to look like everybody else.
Fetty's refusal to fit in ended up being the blueprint for his rap career, and him not having his left eye led to non-stop rumors about how he lost it. People even assumed Fetty got shot in the eye, and instead of correcting them, he let the rumors cook to add to his mystique.
I never got shot in my eye. Basically, it was a prosthesis and pictures was getting viral, so I just let it build up. It wasn't nothing.
Fetty grew up in Paterson, New Jersey, which was notorious for being one of the most violent cities in the state. He's spoken in interviews about how his hood was where people get shot, do drugs, sell drugs, and fight every day. And while young Fetty had passion for music, he turned to hustling in the streets to pay the bills. Fetty's paper chasing mentality is actually what got him his nickname, because he was always making Fetty, aka money on the streets. By the time he hit 10th grade, Fetty decided he'd rather be pulling in cash than spending time in school, so he dropped out. Quote, "I felt like I'd rather get money than an education. When I did have people to listen to, I didn't listen to them anyway. All we knew was drug dealing, getting ran down by police, and how much we're gonna smoke today." Fetty Wap didn't even take music seriously until 2013, when one of his friends heard him freestyle and encouraged him to keep going. He started calling himself Wap as a tribute to Gucci Mane's nickname Guwap, and started pressing up CDs to pass around Paterson. And with his longtime friend Monty, Fetty launched their very own homegrown movement called Remy Boyz 1738. Together, Fetty and Monty built up a buzz for themselves around Paterson and mostly focused on passing out their music hand to hand. Fetty even said that physically giving people his music was super important to his come up because it let people know that he was authentic and passionate about his craft. Quote, "You know who this is coming from. This is my music and I put my heart into it." But when Fetty finally did start putting his music online, it changed everything.
I'm a rapper. Nah, for real.
In 2014, Fetty dropped the most important song of his career, Trap Queen. The crazy thing is at first, no one paid attention to Trap Queen. Fetty uploaded the track in April of 2014 as an independent release, and it just kinda sat there. But as the months ticked by, Trap Queen started to rack up millions of streams. And by 2015, Fetty Wap's debut single was on its way to becoming an era-defining smash hit record. Trap Queen climbed the Billboard charts all the way to number 2. And if that wasn't enough, the song spent 25 consecutive weeks in the top 10. All of a sudden, Fetty Wap went from an unknown artist in New Jersey to an in-demand rising star. He signed a $1.3 million record deal with 300 Entertainment and started performing all over TV shows like Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon. Trap Queen even scored him 2 Grammy nominations for Best Rap Song and Best Rap Performance. That's damn near unheard of for your first official song ever. Fetty Wap was living the high life. Not only was he making millions of dollars, but he kept dropping hit after hit after hit. His next single, 679, scaled the Hot 100 all the way to number 4, and his third single, My Way, got all the way to number 7 and scored a super successful Drake remix.
Baby, all I gotta do is put my mind to this. Goddamn.
Cancel out my ex, I put a line through that bitch. That was a classic, bro. By the end of 2015, Fetty Wap became the first artist in history to have 4 songs holding down Billboard's Hot Rap Songs Top 10. In the first year of his music career, Fetty had beaten records held by veteran artists like Lil Wayne and Eminem. And his self-titled debut album not only hit #1, it also moved 129,000 units in its first week. The thing is, Fetty Wap's success went way beyond hip-hop. His songs were certified crossover hits that were taking over mainstream and pop radio too. Taylor Swift literally brought him out during a stadium performance in Seattle so he could sing Trap Queen to over 60,000 fans. Come to think of it though, whenever Taylor Swift brings a rapper out to one of their shows, they're pretty much destined to fall off. You could call it the Taylor Swift curse because look what happened to Ice Spice. Fetty Wap didn't just have a breakthrough moment, he was taking the whole industry by storm. And more importantly, he wasn't doing it alone. Fetty was committed to bringing his crew with him. Monty and the rest of the 1738 family joined Fetty on tour with Chris Brown, earning him praise as somebody who looked out for their day ones. Quote, "It's like trying to take 20 people out of jail that have never ever been on the streets before and try to adapt them to the streets. So you take 20 people from the streets that have never been in the business or corporate world and adapt them to the business world quickly because it happened fast. You know what I'm saying? My people, the squad that I'm with, they adapted so fast. Now this is what they do." Fetty didn't know it at the time, but looking out for his 1738 family would eventually ruin his whole career.
I know for a fact I was clearing 100,000 every day. Now, the day I woke up and I only made like 40,000, I'm like, some ain't right.
Literally just a year later, the money started to slow up. The first year of success was definitely a game changer. Not only was Fetty charging hundreds of thousands of dollars per show, but he also had lucrative sponsorship deals and was racking in massive streaming numbers. At one point, Fetty even says he was looking at $22 million in his bank account.
The most I saw in my account was 22.
Like 22, like 2.22 million.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But Fetty couldn't make it last. He had experienced success so fast that he just didn't know how to handle it. When you really think about it, most rappers experience a way slower come up. They have time to not only develop their sound, but also figure out how to handle their growing finances. Fetty, on the other hand, was the very definition of an overnight success. He went from passing out CDs in the mall to rocking a stadium next to the biggest pop star in the world. And now he was pulling in millions of dollars as the industry's newest superstar and was expected to provide opportunity and share his lifestyle with the rest of the Remy Boyz, and that's where things went massively wrong.
For like 6 months, yeah, I was broke, bro.
Damn, they had your whole account on freeze.
Fetty was spending like crazy. He started buying up apartments in every city he spent time in, from LA to Miami to Atlanta. He even had 4 different apartments set up for himself in Paterson, New Jersey alone. At his peak, Fetty Wap claims he was paying for 42 different houses. That's insane. That's mad crazy. And that's just off the strength of having loved people, bro. Like, it really happened when I kept getting my license suspended. That's when I really started noticing nobody cares about me, bro. And while Fetty was providing for all these different people, his streaming numbers were falling off a cliff. While Fetty kept releasing mixtapes, he wasn't really feeding the fan base that blew him up in the first place. Fetty may have started his career in hip-hop, but songs like Trap Queen and My Way were crossover smashes all over radio, and Fetty struggled to replicate their success. When Fetty finally dropped his long-awaited second album, The Butterfly Effect, 6 whole years had passed since his first project. By that point, the whole world had already moved on. Fetty Wap's first album debuted at #1, but this album didn't chart at all. When you crunch the numbers, this is really one of the most devastating fall-offs in rap history.
Rapper Fetty Wap under arrest on federal drug charges.
Things had gotten so bad for Fetty that he was forced to go back to the streets. At the peak of his fame, Fetty was literally pulling in $100,000 a day. But now he had a lifestyle to keep up. After splurging millions of dollars on cars, homes, and vacations, he was on the hook to provide for all the people from Paterson he had promised to empower. And now that nobody was playing his music, he needed a way to keep up with his lavish lifestyle. Making things even worse is that things weren't entirely sweet back in Paterson. Even though Fetty was a hometown hero, he still had plenty of ops back in Jersey. In 2017, a shootout involving Fetty Wap left 3 people wounded. One of the people involved in the shooting was a hip-hop promoter named Raheem Thomas, who allegedly snatched Fetty's chain. Just 3 years after that, Fetty Wap's brother Chwan Du was unalived in Paterson. Fetty mourned his brother on social media and even admitted how guilty he felt about the murder. Quote, I failed you, bro, I'm sorry. I love you, little bro. I really thought I could get you out before I ever had to make a post like this, little bro. But fans didn't realize that Fetty Wap's desperation had driven him further to the streets than ever before. In October of 2021, Fetty was supposed to perform at the Rolling Loud Music Festival in New York when the FBI pulled up on him. After they arrested him, the feds revealed that Fetty was being charged in a major trafficking case involving cocaine, fentanyl, crack, and heroin. Along with 5 other defendants, Fetty Wap was being accused of distributing drugs all over New York and New Jersey in a multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise. And since the feds were involved, Fetty was looking at potentially serving life in prison. The news about Fetty's drug charges shook the industry. You gotta remember that Fetty didn't come into the game as a street rapper. While songs like Trap Queen were technically about trapping, they were so catchy and pop-oriented that a lot of people looked past the subject matter. So fans were shocked that Fetty Wap was living a secret double life as a major East Coast narcotics kingpin. And Fetty realized that he had zero chance of beating the feds. In August of 2022, Fetty Wap pleaded guilty on conspiracy to distribute charges and apologized in the courtroom. Quote, I hurt my community, people who look up to me, my family, and myself. I'm truly sorry for the pain I caused. And while pleading guilty guaranteed Fetty would be serving time in federal lockup, it also meant that he dodged a potential life sentence. The prosecutors argued that Fetty deserved a long sentence anyways because his music videos, quote, glamorized trafficking. And the judge scolded Fetty, telling him, quote, despite your background and all you overcame, you threw it all away. Fetty Wap got sentenced to 6 years in federal prison in Minnesota, and it looked like a wrap for his music career.
Whatever I lost when I went in, it was meant to be lost.
On January 8th of 2026, Fetty surprised a lot of people when he got let out early. Even though he only served half his sentence, Fetty was back outside sooner than people expected. And with that, people immediately started wondering what his next move could be. Right from the jump, Fetty stressed that his focus was on giving back to his community. Quote, right now my focus is on giving back, supporting at-risk young children by expanding access to education, early tech skills, and vision care for young kids and students. And when he resurfaced for his first post-prison interview, fans noticed that the 2026 version of Fetty Wap was way wiser and sharper than the old Wap. He doubled down on wanting to start a foundation for kids, but also took responsibility for his mistakes.
If I gotta man up and take responsibility for the shit that I did to get me in this position, I'm gonna do that.
But maybe the most important part of Fetty's return is that he has one of the most powerful moguls in the rap game as an ally. Fetty thanks Curtis 50 Cent Jackson for not only giving him advice, but also being his #1 supporter while he was locked up.
50 did a lot for me. From day one, it was like, whatever you need, just holler at me. And I'm like, all right. And then it was like, where this money going? I'm like, what? I ain't used to that. I'm used to it's always the other way around. He answered the phone. He didn't shy off all the way down to the time I'm about to come home. How you getting home? As far as financial and mental help, he was probably they're the biggest.
After struggling to provide for so many people over the course of his career, having 50 in his corner as a supporter clearly means a lot to Fetty. And more than anything else, 50 seems to be rooting for Fetty to make a huge comeback.
Everything he's told me, it just get back to it. Don't waste no time this time. You only got this my last chance. However that sounds to people. If you in this industry, you know what that means.
It's obvious that Fetty was taking his second chance seriously. But was it enough to put him back in the conversation? The industry changed up a lot since he blew up, and Wap might be fresh out the feds, but he's still a decade removed from his prime. But at the same time, Fetty has a chance to move sharper and more precisely than 10 years ago. Now that he's cut off the dead weight, there's a chance he could put himself back in the game, and 50 Cent might be the perfect person to put him back in that position. Quote, Wap home, fresh out the feds, ready to work. He good, I got him, let's get it. Does Fetty have a chance at making a comeback, or is it just too far gone? Let me know how you feel in the comments.